There are three leadership theories that we've looked at in class over the semester that can apply to nurse managers who care for elderly patients and patients who may be victim of elder abuse. And these are transformational leadership, shared leadership, and emotional leadership. So looking at each one individually, transformational leadership has a focus on blending and merging desires, values, and goals of leaders and followers and everyone involved in the organization. So you all have a common cause. You're all shooting for a common goal. And in this case, it will be detecting and preventing cases of elder abuse. The manager or leader needs to also foster in each of her employees high moral values and humanitarian ideals, because not only do nurses have a legal reason, we're not only mandated reporters, but we also have moral needs to report elder abuse. And the nurse manager wants to encourage all staff to exercise their own independent leadership, make their own critical judgments when they meet a patient they suspect is a victim of abuse, or potentially you want to educate them. They need to be able to act independently and follow their own sort of guide. The second theory that I think really applies to cases of elder abuse would be shared leadership, because this is based on empowerment principles and participative methods. So everyone participates and everyone's empowered, like I said in the last slide, to use their own judgment in these cases and report as necessary. It involves relationships, so the staff and management relationship needs to be very strong and supportive. Staff and patients, because nurses need to have a good relationship with their patients in order to maybe discover the abuse. And staff and each other, colleagues. You need everyone's support and help in caring for people who may be victims of abuse. Dialogue is very important. Communication, again, you want open communication and in all directions, up, down, lateral, diagonal. Partnerships are very important. Everyone has a stake. It's important that everyone plays their part. Everyone has a role to play, and it runs most effectively when everyone's participating and helping each other and playing their role. And then understanding boundaries. Even though in this system everyone acts independently and can speak up and use their own judgment, there are still boundaries, cultural ones. Don't misinterpret some cultural things maybe as abuse. We need to be aware of things like that. And also, even though you have a lot of input, a manager is still a manager, so there are still boundaries, and those also need to be remembered and considered. And the other final leadership style that I think plays a very important role in caring for elderly patients is emotional leadership. And this includes self-awareness and social awareness. So it's important for people to be able to understand social situations and different circumstances and different people in different circumstances. And you also have to be able to manage your relationships with everyone appropriately. Like I said, with your patients, with your managers, with every person you come into contact with who's going to have some sort of reaction to this case of abuse that you might be concerned about. So you have to understand where everyone else is coming from as well as yourself. And the way to get the most out of your patients is to be open and honest and authentic. When you're honest and open, your patients are more likely to trust you, and they're more likely to feel that they can reveal their situation or abusive patterns that have happened in their, what's going on with them. And this theory takes into account that the workplace is a very complex environment. There's so many factors that play into each individual circumstance that it requires a person who can read each situation and adapt. Even if the situation's the same, you have to individualize how you adapt and react and care for people in different situations. And really, what happens is nurse managers really have to apply different theories and different methods of leadership to each individual situation. And that's the best way to manage your unit or your facility most successfully and care for elderly patients.